Hi, Chad Schaefer here with Home Envy Realty, and in this episode of We Ask the Professionals, we're sitting down with David Drake with New American Funding to talk honestly about financing in today's market. From why buyers still get denied after pre-approval to how sellers can support smooth transactions, this conversation clears up confusion buyers and sellers are still facing in 2026. It's direct, practical, and designed to help people move forward with confidence instead of fear. So David.
Yes.
First question for you. What's the biggest reason buyers get denied after their pre-approval?
One of the major issues buyers get denied after pre-approval would happen to be switching employers. Either they'll switch employers right before, they'll switch employers right at the start of the process after pre-approval's already been issued before looking into finding a home. And what that does is that causes the underwriter to have to scramble through to calculate income. They have to also potentially take out any overtime that can't be accounted for or averaged. So it really lowers their income qualifications, so then they might not qualify for the home they're looking to purchase.
So David, it's kind of a good topic, so I want to stay on that. What is another big reason buyers are actually getting denied after their pre-approval?
Great question. Again, follow-up would be simply because of undisclosed debt. There are a lot of situations where the buyers have not told anybody possibly about a property they own or a land that they owned and it is undisclosed and does not come up until we do property searches down the line, which can further cause complications in their approval. Also, they might have personal loans out that do not come up on credit reports. So that does come up when we see bank statements and we see money being drafted into other accounts. The underwriters are going to want to source that and why it's going there. And then they have to come up and say, hey, I have a personal loan from a family member I'm making a monthly obligation and payment towards. We now have to add that into their debt to income ratios, lowering their qualifications.
So, funny story about that, and it actually was prior to you working with your mom. When I was working with your mom, I had a customer that forgot that he had a $15,000 a month spousal payment that he was making.
That's hard to forget, but teach his own.
Yeah, so how you forget that, I don't know, but the amazing thing was we were able to do a lease purchase option, so that was like the first time that it's like, how's this gonna work?
Wow.
And she helped throughout it, it was amazing, so. But see, you guys are always amazing like that. You can, not that we wanna bring problems, but you guys are amazing at the problem fixing, just gonna say it.
Yes, I appreciate it. We like to dive deep and figure out solutions for stuff that other people wouldn't be able to, and we have really creative underwriting.
You do, but let's not go there.
No.
It's just easier to make it fun from the beginning.
Exactly, full transparency.
There you go, awesome. So next, how can sellers actually support a smooth financial transaction for the buyer?
Great question. So sellers can make it a better transaction experience for the buyers if they're upfront with everything on the seller disclosures and they try not to hide anything. And being as in-depth as possible, so there's nothing that comes to light after inspections, as to the most or further most of their knowledge that they know on the home. And to where the buyer potentially doesn't have as much risk going into the transaction, knowing what they're going to uncover when they do their inspections on the home or when they pull lien searches on the property.
So what's one financing myth that you're still seeing now that we're going into 2026 that's kind of something that could be easily avoided?
The biggest one I'm seeing is that rates are going to drop back down to the 2s and 3s. That is not going to happen, as that
He said it, that's true.
that is when rates were at an all-time low in history. The 10-year treasury yield, which is what all lenders base their interest rates on, was at an all-time low of about 1.0-ish and change. Right now it is at 4.1 and change, basically 4 times that amount. That's why interest rates are right now in the high 5s, mid 6s. Depending on the program, possibly the 7s, and if we're going non-QM, you're talking 8, 9s, and 10s. So it is never going to be historically as low as it was back then, which was in the 2s and 3s.
I'm really glad you brought that up because now I can tell people what I know in the sense that when I was born, not going to tell people what that is, but at that time, I mean, they were at like 15, 20%, like insane.
And that is what my mother, having 44 years of experience in the industry, has told me, which might backtrack your date and how old you are. But that is what exactly she said. It was interest rates were in the 17% and so, and people were excited to get it at that rate.
See, so this is a good interest rate. So
Don't hesitate.
But in addition to that, though, when interest rates drop, there always is the opportunity to either refinance, or something that you and I talked about many times is, okay, you've got an interest rate. As long as people aren't buying to be house poor, make extra payments a month. What does that actually do? When you make an extra payment, like one extra payment in a year or whatever that is, how does that impact your overall interest rate?
So if you make an extra payment, the rule of thumb is one extra payment a month or one extra payment a year for the entire payment portion, just principal and interest. You're going to reduce the life of the loan by about 7 years. So it goes from a 30-year fix to a 23-year fix, which ultimately eliminates 7 years of interest you're taking off and accumulating.
So that's like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes, exactly that, if not more, depending on the sale price of the home.
Yeah, so don't freak out about interest rates.
Exactly.
You heard it from us, experts.
Or refinance.
There you go. All right, so last one. What's one thing agents can stop doing that are messing up deals? Call me out if you need to.
Okay, well, agents can stop trying to sell a person a home just based on sale price. I normally advise buyers to look at the mortgage payment as a whole and what they're comfortable sleeping at night with. And we have a lot of agents in this market that are looking at a money sign or dollar sign after. So I advise them to stay within a comfortability level for the buyers, depending on HOAs, the taxes, and everything else, and it can accumulate for a monthly payment to make sure the buyer's comfortable moving forward, not the check that's going in the buyer's agent's pocket after closing.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's something that when I started Home Envy Realty, it was something big that I wanted to share, that, you know, transactions are about the people. They're about what their needs are. And we always want to do what's in the best interest of the person. And when we do buyer consultations, we ask people, you know, what is your comfort level with your purchase price? But keep in mind, we don't want to take you there. You know, if we can find a house that fits your lifestyle, that it's much less than what you were thinking you could spend, that's what's most important. So I think that's great advice, and I appreciate the honesty with that, because we see it in the industry. So
Not in it for the transactions, but in it for the relationship building.
that's what it's about. Do what's right for the people. So thank you. David, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time and sitting down with me. I hope you all enjoyed this. Feel free to like, subscribe if you want to see other videos, and I'm sure we'll have David back again in the future. So thank you, man. Appreciate you.
You got it.
All right.